Last week I made the investment and the purchase to get the iPad Pro and the Apple Pencil. So I'm going to answer the question that you guys have been asking me on my Instagram that everyone wants to know on the channel. Is the iPad Pro worth it for a graphic designer? I'll also be talking a bit more about the iPad Pro, what it's all about, and my experience with it over the past week, and I might do a follow-up video in the future. The first thing you sort of see with the iPad Pro is that it's just a normal iPad but huge, 12.9 inches to be exact. This huge screen is exactly what I wanted in an iPad. Now, keeping in mind, I already had an iPad Air 1, so the first gen of the iPad Air, and it worked super well and it still does. So I didn't really need the iPad Pro to view media or to consume sort of media, but I wanted the iPad Pro to create media, and I think this is a new stepping stone in media creation. So the main reason why I justified getting the iPad Pro was the fact that the screen size is bigger, so I can actually do more on it at the same time, multitasking, and I can also see what I'm creating in a bit more detail, but also because of the Apple Pencil. Now, the Apple Pencil is the biggest justification for the iPad Pro at the minute, and I mean the larger one, not the smaller one. The Apple Pencil is a very, very accurate and sensitive stylus for the iPad, and the Apple Pencil is the sole reason why I got this. I'm a hand letterer and a logo designer and a YouTuber, so I do a lot of things with drawing, and I do a lot of drafting, and I use a lot of paper for one project. And in using the iPad Pro, I wouldn't have to use paper, but I could use electronic layers like in Photoshop, but I use Procreate. So the iPad Pro has a huge screen and it's got Apple Pencil compatibility. When I first heard of the Apple Pencil with the iPad Pro, I thought it wouldn't be as good as I have experienced it to be. I thought it would be just like another stylus. Now, this is because I recently bought a stylus and a little slate thing from Adobe last year called Adobe Ink and Slide. Now, back then, that Adobe Ink and Slide was the most awesome electronic sensitive stylus. It had pressure sensitivity and I had a little ruler with it, and it was great for drafting, and I actually bought it and it was at a pretty decent price at the time. But the problem that we had was the parallax effect on the screen, which basically means where you put your stylus down on the screen, the actual place of where you're drawing on the screen is in a different position to where the stylus is, and that was an inevitability with all styluses back then. So this means that with the Apple Pencil, that where you put your stylus is exactly where you're going to draw, which is game changing. And I only just realized this a few months ago. Not only that, but the Apple Pencil is super simple to use and super amazingly comfortable. So when I first started to draw in the iPad Pro, I realized that this is a game changer for me because it's so easy and natural to draw. Some of the downsides of drawing on a screen is that there's not enough tooth or traction on the surface, which basically means it doesn't have enough texture on it. This is easily solved though. If you have that issue, you can just get a matte screen protector and you'll be fine. For me, on the other hand, I have not seen any difference in quality regarding the tooth of the surface. Now, that's because I use a graphics tablet a lot of the time for when I'm doing my logo design, so it doesn't really bother me. But as soon as you put the Apple Pencil to the iPad Pro, you realize the full potential of what you really could create. So I played around with it for a couple of days, and as I was doing a logo design project, I started to do all my drafting and my sketches of the logo design in the iPad Pro, and I found out something amazing. You see, because of the iPad Pro, I was able to finish a logo design project even quicker than I would do with just normal paper. That's because I was able to work anywhere I wanted, also because I was using the iPad Pro a lot more often because it was a new product that I just bought. But I realized that because of the layer systems, I was able to get more accurate representations. I felt a lot freer. I didn't feel like I was wasting paper, didn't feel like I was going to run out of ink or anything, because you can't run out. You just run out of battery and you recharge. So something that would normally have taken me 2 to 3 weeks took me only less than a week, which is pretty amazing. Obviously, I was playing with the iPad more because it was a new toy that I've just bought, but also the fact that it's so easy to draw. I use an app called Procreate on the iPad, which is basically the best sketching app and the best painting app ever on the iPad. Some digital artists only use Procreate. Some of them use Procreate and Photoshop to finish it up. I only use Procreate for the sketching, and then I bring it into Illustrator where I go ahead and live trace it. If it's hand lettering or if it's a clean logo design, I go around with the pencil. Now, another thing that I found is that I don't need the scanner anymore if I'm doing that process. The scanner I have is the Epson V600, which is about £250, so that's about $320. So it's quite a hefty scanner for my work, and that's just so I can get a high DPI. Now with the iPad Pro, the great thing about it is when you're drawing, you just need to upload your picture or send it through AirDrop to your Mac. Now then, here's the ultimate question that a lot of you animators, a lot of you illustrators are going to be asking. Does it beat the Wacom Cintiq? Now, I'm a huge Wacom fan. I love the graphics tablets. They're amazing and they're flawless. I have not got a Wacom Cintiq, but I have used one. And I can tell you this, I did not enjoy the experience because I like to have my computer monitor in front of me. I felt normal with the standard graphics tablet. I use an Intuos 5. Some of you guys were pondering whether to get an iPad Pro, but you didn't know because you wanted to use it as a tablet for your computer as well, like a Cintiq, where you can see the work you're working on and you're able to actually draw on the screen. Well, I downloaded this app called AstroPad. It's quite an expensive app, but you will see why. AstroPad basically connects your computer monitor to your iPad wired or wirelessly, so you can use it exactly like a Wacom Cintiq. Some of you guys will be a bit like, oh, it'll feel different. And yes, it does feel a bit different. Some of you guys may not be used to it, but I prefer it. So what I was able to do was to connect my Mac to my iPad Pro, and I was able to control Illustrator and Photoshop and anything that I wanted on it, just like you would with a Wacom Intuos, minus the hover cursor, which doesn't really matter for a lot of people, but some of you guys may be a bit wary of that. When I was using it, it worked really well and I didn't see any flaws in it at all. You can do it wirelessly or you can do it wired, which is a tiny bit quicker, but it's amazing the speed at which the iPad Pro picks everything up. The AstroPad team are a bunch of ex-Apple engineers, so they know exactly what they're doing with iPads and the softwares within them. So that leads me on to the next question. Do you need the iPad Pro? The simple answer is no, you don't need one. If you have pencil and paper and a computer, then you are all good because you're able to do everything on the iPad Pro on pencil and paper. But the iPad Pro is for professional designers, people who are making money on lettering, logo design, or people who have a high interest in making money on it or advancing their skills. There are a lot of benefits for using the iPad Pro, such as saving paper, but also the fact that you can zoom in and draw anywhere that you want with any tool. You can paint, do whatever you need to do on the iPad Pro, but you do not need it. It is not a necessity like a computer. So if you're a graphic designer but you're not drawing, then I would say you don't need the iPad Pro if you're not drawing. But if you're an illustrator, I would say that the iPad Pro will be great for you, but that is going to be down to your own speculations and your own interpretations because everyone has their own creative processes. But for me, the iPad Pro is an absolute game changer. As a logo designer and a hand letterer, I love to be able to have the freedom to draw wherever I want on a huge screen. And here's another really cool point about the iPad Pro and the Apple Pencil. The fact that I forget that it's an iPad Pro I'm working on. There is no learning curve, to be honest, with the iPad Pro whilst drawing. You just pick it up and go, which is the thing that Apple does the best. There is hardly any learning curve. You can put your palm on the screen and you can draw, and it works absolutely flawlessly, minus a couple little dots that you put on the paper sometimes when palm rejection doesn't work. But all in all, the iPad Pro for me has been a game-changing device, and I think anyone who has the money, who's willing to invest it, and people who do make money with creative work like logo design or hand lettering, it will be a very sound investment into getting the iPad Pro. So those are some of my thoughts on the iPad Pro and the Apple Pencil. I'll be really interested into hearing what you guys think about it. You can check out my Instagram where I've been posting on my stories timeline lots of stuff about the iPad Pro and my processes to do with logo design and hand lettering. So go and check that out. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and also if you like this video and you would like some products for free from my website, all of them to be exact, then you can become a Patreon, which means you tip me every month and you get all my products for free and some more insightful information about me and how you can learn more into design. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. See you soon.